This is gonna be a really dumb question, and I assume I know the answer, but how would I say your name?
Jamie.
Okay.
It's not a dumb question because I get lots. Jaime Sproul is the full, and both of them get pronounced wrong all the time. So not a dumb question.
I knew you would say that, but I just wanted to clarify. I didn't know if it was like the French like jamais or whatever. I'm sure you've heard all the
Oh yeah.
horrible ways to pronounce it. What can I ask? Is it like the French spelling, or like what's the story of it being spelled that way?
It is the French spelling. I don't know exactly why my parents chose it. They were like, "Yep, we're gonna spell it this way," but we are not French. We do not have French roots. So I don't know where the like Jaime came from, but a lot of people like will try and speak French to me because it's spelt that way and I'm like there's no French in me.
I mean, I always think very tiny subtleties to things that are seemingly normal always makes things more interesting. So I like the spelling, and I barely can speak French. So I wasn't gonna come at you with any French, but I did assume that you were French based on spelling.
Yeah, no, it's I have long ago the Sproul comes from an Irish family, but that's it. That's all we got.
I guess that's why you weren't supposed to assume things about people, but I would have thought there was French heritage sprinkled in there.
Yeah, you would think. I get a lot of Uber drivers when I get in the Ubers. They try to speak French to me right away, actually, which is funny because I'm in Calgary, but they try to speak French and every time I'm like, no, no, I don't have any French. I don't know anything except for bonjour. That's it.
Do you have like absolutely no French, or were you in immersion like as a young kid?
I We had to take French in school in grade 4, 5, and 6, and then I never took any more, and I can't say I really remember anything.
I mean, that's why I asked such a weird question off the bat. I also was in some immersion around that age, and I didn't retain even 1% of it. Like I spoke French, I guess, at some point, but not at all now.
Yeah, I wasn't much of a, I mean, I unfortunately wasn't very interested in that age, so I didn't pay too much attention in school when we were learning about it. Um and I remember my French teacher being kind of mean, so I didn't really like listening to her also for that. So yeah, it did not stick.
Yeah, I mean, same thing. Probably was just a bad kid. Not for at that age, and another language would not have been a priority for me.
Totally. Yeah, it was last thing in my books. Last thing on my mind.
So was that like, are you born and raised in Calgary?
I am, yeah. So born and raised in Calgary. My mom has actually also been here for her whole life. She's born and raised. But yeah, I've been here the whole time. There's been points where I thought about, moving and saying I'm so tired of the city, but I think that was a very 18, 19-year-old mindset of mine. But as I get older, I do really appreciate a lot of things about Calgary that I don't think I really did before. But I always say that Calgary's not so bad. It's a good little city. I do like it here a lot.
That's the exact same with me. When I was, around that age, maybe like early 20s, I would complain a lot, but then I never actually made the move anywhere else, and I'm kind of happy because now I can claim I've been here the whole time, and it is I don't want to. I get in too much trouble comparing the cities, but here is getting a lot better pretty quickly, actually. So now I'm pretty happy to be here, and all my friends who moved away now want cheap houses with their families, so they all moved back. And I assume Calgary has a lot of like return people as well.
For sure. Yeah, I think Calgary, I mean, I feel like Calgary and Edmonton are they're very like sister cities, but I think Calgary is really similar where a lot of the like even just the arts culture, the music culture, like it's just getting better here. There's more stuff to do. So I think a lot of people are realizing like, wait, actually this might be the place to stay and like stick around and see what happens. So there have been quite a few people that have come back, but we still have the few that go out and try it, but a lot of them do kind of end up coming back eventually.
Yeah, I was talking to someone from Calgary on here yesterday, and we were talking about how, to us, like being in Alberta, maybe it seems everything is getting a bit more expensive, but I think in the grand scheme of things, most other provinces would probably laugh at us if we said it was expensive. Like, you can get a house. Maybe it's more there, but here you probably find one for, like a quarter of the price it would be in other cities, and you would get like a bachelor apartment or like a house essentially caving in on itself.
Totally, yeah. I think when it like there's been a few friends that I've known to move to Vancouver, Toronto, especially and eventually come back because it's just so crazy to try and like make money there and save money and like make something there for yourself. Um, but yeah, I think it's a lot easier in Alberta, especially, and then obviously the taxes is a huge win. I always forget about the taxes and then people visit and I'm like, "Oh yeah, we have it good here."
Yeah, exactly. I'll go to like, yeah, out east, buy something and realize how much more it is because of tax, and then friends come here from somewhere with a lot more tax, and they end up shopping their hearts out because it adds up to like a significant savings.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, it's I work in retail actually, so we get a lot of out of town people and it's like it's always so shocking when they're like, "Oh my God, this would have cost so much in Vancouver," and here it's like you're saving so much money, which is awesome.
I mean that's a decent segue. I was curious if you were a full-time artist.
So I'm not. Yeah. I do work retail. I work for Aritzia, Canadian company, as my full-time job, and then I do art when I can, which is, pretty much always after work on my days off. Um, but yeah, I did go to ACAD, which or I guess it's AU Arts now in Calgary, which is our art school or art university, and was kind of pursuing that. And then COVID happened, and I really needed a job after. I fell into retail, and I actually ended up quite liking it. So I ended up staying, but it's nice because I'm able to balance the art fairly well on the side. And I have time to do it, which is really important to me. So yeah, it's not full time, but it is taking up a chunk of time, that's for sure.
One thing I will say, and I assume I'll get in a bit of trouble from people here, but I think the Calgary art scene is infinitely better than the one here. There's so many people out there doing so many different things, and they all seem to get along. Maybe I mean I could be wrong, but what do you think about like does that scene really support itself, or is there any like animosity or gatekeeping between crews?
Um, I don't think so. I've obviously been like involved. I've had friends that, have worked in galleries and in like the artist run galleries. And I think that for the most part here, everyone is pretty supportive of each other. And there is quite a large group of artists. I think that we're all friends and we go to openings together and we do a lot of things that together like within the art scene. So I would say not really any like yeah, not really against each other so much. I think a lot of people here are really supportive, which is so awesome, honestly. Like I think a lot of people are really like, oh, this person has a show, we gotta go see it. This person has a show. Like we make a point of really going out and supporting people, which I think is really awesome about Calgary. And I have heard a couple of times, that the Calgary art scene is actually, kind of got something really good going right now. So it's hard to know when I haven't lived anywhere else, but I think hearing that I can see how it might be a little bit different in other places, but I think Calgary is a pretty good spot for artists. And I think too Calgary has kind of a stigma, cowboys and very conservative and all that. So I think the artists really rely on each other because we're a bit of a smaller community compared to, like the general public of Calgary. So I think that's also really important.
I I know like obviously you should never take any of your info from Instagram stories, but what you're saying is kind of what I was basing that on. Like when I see like someone from Calgary, like I want to say one of you guys, I guess, like having a show. I see so many other people in Calgary sharing the flyer or sharing that they were at the event. Like it just, again, it's the worst way to kind of consume life. But on stories, I see people like really getting behind other people out there.
Yeah, I mean it's true. Like I think as much as we can't all be living online and through our profiles, but I do think that there is a big part of the arts culture here that um does rely on that sharing, which I think is awesome, to be honest. I think it's like just makes it that much better. I think a lot of people also in Calgary love to have fun. Like, oh, an art opening is just like a fun event for everybody. And then, you kind of go out after and you see your friends and you just kind of debrief and have a great time. So it's kind of really part of like the whole social culture in the art scene, I would say, from my experience in Calgary.
I feel the way I see it, maybe not everyone would agree, but I think, I'll sum Alberta up as a whole just for the sake of this comparison, but I feel like we're at a very good size for our things right now because someone will have like an unveiling or a show or they'll do something, and then that is kind of the only show happening that night or that weekend. And like I mean that in a good way because in a city with a lot more happening you would have to pick and choose and you would get your crowd thinned out and like even your friends might have obligations to be somewhere else that night. So I love the growth and I hope both cities keep prospering, but I think right now we're at a pretty good size to start.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is at this really good sweet spot for that. Like you were saying, it's sort of like that's the event for the night. So everybody's like, okay, we're going to that. Everybody's kind of on the same page, which yeah, I think if you go to like Toronto, obviously New York, there's so much happening on a Friday, Saturday night that it can be hard to round everybody up. But yeah, I think it's like it is kind of the perfect size right now where everybody is just like, yep, this is what we're doing. We're going here, we're going here. Um, yeah, I think it's really good for like community building here.
What's your take? This is like my favorite thing to ask Albertans. Is it hard to be an artist from Alberta or from Calgary? Like, do you feel like maybe not oppressed and like down about it, but do you feel it's harder to make a name for anyone like as an artist from here?
Um, I think in some ways it can be. I think probably the biggest difference is making those connections. Because obviously the art scene is smaller here than you would have in a kind of a bigger city, but I think that it's a bit harder to have so many connections build up. You got to kind of work, and again, you have to kind of work through your social media and putting yourself out there that way. I think you have to rely on that a little bit more, which maybe goes for honestly everyone these days. That might just be a part of our culture now with social media, but I do think that like that part might be a little bit more difficult. I do think that one thing that is kind of nice about Calgary is I feel like there's a lot of like refreshing work coming out of Calgary. And whether it's a good thing or not, it's not super oversaturated. So when you do kind of have someone doing something, it can feel really fresh for Calgary and just kind of really exciting for our city.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought to touch on that point, but for sure in a bigger city, even the most original art, like it could be, not blatantly inspired by anything, not like copying, but just by the sheer number of people, you're gonna end up kind of replaying some stuff, and stuff is gonna feel like it's been done before. I fully agree around here, and in what I see coming out of their stuff has less to compete with, like less existing at the same time for anything to feel overdone.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know this was kind of an art school like key discussion, but um like art is it's not made in a vacuum, like creativity is not made in a vacuum. So of course you're gonna pull from whatever is around you and what you're seeing. So yeah, I think like that could be the downfall of being in a bigger city. You have so many people kind of pulling influences from the same thing, but I mean that also works in to their advantage too. But yeah, I think in a way that's kind of a win for being an artist in Alberta. You have a little bit more space to kind of do your thing.
I'm trying to think of it. I have a few questions that might be able to be crammed into one, but I want to know, like, how, like, were you making art before you decided to go to ACAD, or is that, like, did you kind of decide you were gonna go down the art path and then go?
Yeah, so I have always done art. Like I have always been kind of a drawer. I can't say I was super great at it when I was a kid, I was really into trying to copy the awesome anime drawings and do my best, but they weren't that great. And in high school is kind of when I really had a turning point and I remember I came back in grade 11, I believe, and over the summer I had just been drawing a lot. I remember being really frustrated that I wasn't where I wanted to be. And I came back and I just kind of locked in and realized that, this was something that I was really improving on. And so that's kind of where I really got into it. To be honest, I was thinking about going into sciences, which I cannot see myself doing now, but that was kind of my main plan. And then I said, you know what, I think I need to pursue art a little bit more. And that was kind of my turning point. But my dad was also, he's always been kind of a creative guy in his own regard. So I think he really influenced me a lot as well. He's very much a perfectionist, I would say. And he does a lot of woodworking and he's very like passionate about his craft and being very perfect. So I think that also influenced a lot. And I definitely got some traits from him too. So that had something to do with it.
When you just referenced coming back a couple times, was that just coming back from a hiatus or a vacation?
Um, you like into art?
Yeah, like you just said, you came back, and I wonder if you came back from a physical place or just came back to making art.
Yeah, it was more like a mental space. I think there's been a lot of periods of time that I have kind of been like, okay, I get so frustrated. Um, I used to. I don't really do it as much anymore, but I used to get so frustrated that I wasn't kind of able to perform at the level I wanted to, that I would take, some months off and whatnot and come back to it. Yeah, it was more of a mental battle for me.
Was anime like the main inspiration for all this, and is it still?
Um, so I think when I was pretty young, that was if anyone has seen my old Facebook, it's like filled with just anime pictures and not me. But that was a big one for drawing and art style when I was a kid. I thought it was so interesting. And pretty awesome, which a lot of people obviously think that these days too. It's become pretty popular, but I think what ended up really influencing me was actually I am a pretty big collector of things and I love like toys and little knickknacks. And I think that that has driven me a lot further than other things in my life because I am quite the hoarder, my partner might say, of little knickknacks and toys.
What's your I'm assuming you have a few, but what's the main collection for you?
Yeah, the main collection, I call them dongles. They are like cell phone charms. But I've been collecting them for about 8 years and I mean the people that have seen my phone in real life, I think there's a photo on my Instagram too, but I have a big kind of collection of charms on my phone that I carry around with me, and it always becomes a bit of a topic of discussion when I go out for dinner and whatnot. But I have those on my phone, and then I keep like the really special ones in a little case. So I have a kind of like a collection of new ones in this little box that I keep. But that's my biggest one, and I'm pretty passionate about those two. They're pretty precious to me.
So, like, does your phone look like a janitor's keychain?
Yes, absolutely. It looks crazy. Like people are always like, "How do you put that in your pocket?" And they're always like, "Can I pick it up?" It looks so heavy. It is heavy compared to a regular phone, but it looks quite crazy. It's got a lot going on.
I mean, don't answer if you don't want to. I know a lot of people have reasons for why they do things and they don't want to tell them, but is there a reason why those things, like, you were drawn to them specifically?
I think funny enough when I don't know if people remember these. I know a lot of people will mention them to me, but the Peekapoo cell phone charms that used to be around, and you could get them in little like the Toonie machines, the little turnstile machines. Those were like my bread and butter when I was in elementary school. I loved them. I collected them. And then I ended up losing quite a few of them from my collection. I don't know where they went, but I found them when I was probably 18 and I just was like totally reignited. I was like, I love these things. I need to get back into it. So then I just started with a couple on my phone and it wasn't crazy. And I guess I kind of got addicted and just kept going and going and going. And yeah, now it's just like a huge mess of little characters.
I feel that I don't know how much the really sought after ones would cost, but that's got to be somewhat of an affordable thing to collect. Like some people get a little crazy with their collection. People collect cameras and it's tens of thousands of dollars to add to that. But these things, my guess is they're a lot more affordable.
Totally. They are, I want to say like the normal ones probably range from like 10 to $20 each. I think the most that I've paid for one was $100. So still not terrible when you're comparing like people who, yeah, like collect cameras or sneakers or, like whatever. So it is a cheaper one, but there are certain ones that I have paid a pretty good price for because I was like, I just need them.
What do you think about? It seems that like bag charms are definitely like at a height right now. Like they've probably always been popular, and like to people like you, like you've cared about them always. But it seems to me like I mean, obviously Labubu, but like the Kodak Charmras, everyone seems to be making these charm things. What you think it's oversaturated, or you just like anything hanging off anything?
Yeah, it's definitely become the bag charms are a huge thing right now. I think, it is oversaturated, but I'm excited about it. I love it. Like it's more opportunity for me to get them. And I feel like there was a point, maybe like after 2015 where we started getting so minimal as a society. And I am not a minimalist. I'm definitely a maximalist. So I get so excited to see that people are like wanting to show off what they like because a lot of bag charms will really show kind of people's interests. Because a lot of them are characters or like, people put like soccer balls or like, teams or whatever. So I think it's great and it's so fun that people get to show a little bit more of their personality without you having to like interact with them. That's always something that I've thought was like pretty awesome. So I'm excited about it. I love it. I have lots of bag charms. I put them on as many as I can at a time. And yeah, I think they're great.
It's funny, like looking at a lot of the art you made. I guess that would be obvious, but I didn't really put two and two together and think like that would be something you were heavily into. I just thought you had made some art featuring those things.
Yeah, it definitely comes from like the inspiration comes from an appreciation for sure. I think a lot of the drawings that I do are they're obviously quite leaning into the hyperrealism, but I think the main reason for me doing them is just like I really love to kind of focus in on what's amazing about them. I think they're so cool. I think they're really beautiful. Um, so it's just like a moment for me to slow down and really appreciate it. Like I get to build it piece by piece when I'm drawing it. And I always say like the shinier the object, the better it is to draw because it's just so much fun to like have all those little nuances in it. So, yeah, I think it's just a way for me to show a lot of appreciation for the things that I'm collecting and really like holding on to. I definitely bleeds into the art a lot.
And my guess, again, I could be wrong, but you would have been collecting for a long time before you ever decided like you could make art with these and like featuring these.
For sure, yeah. When I was a kid, I think I started collecting right away. Like I was a classic rock collector kid and I started getting really into Star Wars. I loved collecting Star Wars Lego. I had shelves for displays and stuff. It was like my pride and joy. And as I got older, I just kept going and yeah, I started really collecting a lot of vintage toys, a lot of Japanese toys. and just really admiring them, and that's kind of where it came from, yeah.
What's if that's your biggest collection, is there like a second place? Like what else do you have a lot of?
I also collect quite a bit of like vintage Japanese toys. So when I went over there a couple years ago to visit Japan, and that was like my bread and butter when I was there. I just kept looking for the vintage. They have a lot of mascots over there. They have a really big mascot culture, so a lot of them were turned into toys when they were kind of around in the 70s, 80s, 90s. So I have quite a big collection of those. Another big one is a Japanese character called Monchichi, which is like a little monkey kind of like plushie. I think it was first introduced in the 70s. But I started getting really into those. So those are a big one for me too. I have quite a few.
Do they still make merch for that guy? Like did it start in the 70s, but it's still going?
Yeah, it is still going, which is kind of crazy. I think it was really big up until the 90s, 2000s, and then it dropped off for a bit, and now it's kind of gaining a little bit more interest again. So they're starting to make more, which is awesome. But it's kind of like almost like Hello Kitty in a way where, it was made so long ago, but it's just floated through the years and it keeps going and going.
That I would guess that's a more expensive collection. Dongles, like vintage mascot toys, probably cost way more than the other stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're definitely getting a little bit pricier when they're there. So I don't have quite as many as I have the little dongles, but yeah, I've spent some good amount of money on them, but some of them are so unique. It's always kind of worth it, you know?
Do you like are you a buy and sell collector? Do you only collect? Like are you trying to offload? Like, some people say certain things are an investment. Maybe later in life their kids or someone in their family will be able to sell them for a bunch of money. Do you think that way, or is it just to have them?
I would love to say that I think that way. Sometimes I say it out loud, but it's in reality it is not that. I think it's mainly for me right now. If, I have kids and they're so interested in it, I'll be so happy to give it to them. But I don't know if some of these things will really be worth a whole lot later on down the road, but I think they're they're just so interesting for me now. And again, like it's just such a source of inspiration for me that um I love having them around. So it's not really, I don't ever sell anything. I am a bit of a hoarder that way. I keep everything that I've ever bought really when it comes to little toys and knickknacks. So not much of a seller. We'll see. Maybe it'll change when I get a bit older, but for now they're all staying with me.
That's good. I've done it, and I've seen friends collect stuff and then kind of like get over it and move on, and they get rid of it, and then 5, 10 years, whatever down the road, it's like a huge regret. They used to have all this and they got rid of it, and it would have been worth more now. Like everything would have been better if they kept it, but they don't. So it's good that you have it all, at least for now.
Totally, yeah. I think I'm a pretty nostalgic person, so it's pretty hard for me to get rid of things, especially when I had such an attachment to them. But I always end up being glad because even if something, I stop collecting for a few years, after a few years, I pretty much just go right back and start adding to it again. So it's I like that I've kept things. Like I know a big one for me when I was a kid was Tamagotchis. I loved them. And me and my best friend growing up would always, get the newest one. And then, I got into my 20s again and I was like, I still have my old Tamagotchis and I'm ready to add more. And I just kept buying the new models. I kept buying old models, finding them on, Facebook Marketplace and stuff like that. So it always kind of comes back around. It's almost like fashion. It'll come back.
What about? Nah, I feel bad if this doesn't land, and I'm just equating all this to also an interest in like vintage video games. But what about like Game Boys and stuff? Did you ever get into that?
Yes, actually. Me and my partner we are the console kind of collectors in our friend group. So we have kept a lot of ours. But I think we have 3 or 4 Game Boys, a couple of Game Boy Colors, and then Game Boy Advance. I have a couple of Nintendo DS. We have a GameCube and a N64, and then, all the Xbox, all the PlayStation. So we kind of both bought into that one. But I kept all of them. Yeah.
That's. I'm so glad you had that answer, and it maybe sounds like I was fishing. I had no idea that you actually had all that, so that worked out perfectly.
Yeah, yeah, it all ties together, but yeah, we sometimes we go to the old like the video game trader stores. I don't know if there's any in Edmonton, but we go there a lot and just try and pick out newer games and ones that we've never heard of before. But yeah, held on to all of them. Couldn't get rid of them.
What do you have a favorite Game Boy game from that era?
My favorite, well, it was remade, so the oh my God, what is it called? The Super Mario 64 was remade for the DS. And that was my favorite DS game ever, but I have played a little bit on the N64 as well. But I always thought that was like such a genius game. It was so awesome. And then Kirby Superstar Ultra was always a favorite of mine. I loved that game. It was like I've played it over and over again.
Yeah, I'm not a huge gamer, but when I was a kid, I remember playing those, and I really loved the earlier Mario's, and I think the sounds are the best part. Like all the like button noises, and like when you jump and like land on a toad or whatever, like all those sounds are ingrained in my memory.
For sure. Yeah, those are like some of the best parts. I think there was a lot of those like 90s 2000s games, there's like so whimsical that a lot of it was just so nostalgic. Yeah, and like it just was so fun to play. I love going back and playing those ones again because they just never get old.
Okay, let me try again. Hopefully this works. What about like movies? Are you into old movies from that time?
Oh yes, I am. Another one. Yeah, I love to watch movies. I love to collect movies. Again, me and my partner have a bit of a VHS collection, and then started doing a little bit of a DVD collection too. But there was a point where I was really interested in like a lot of um, like Asian film and foreign films, so I got pretty into that for a while. But there was a point where we had a group of friends that we would just get together and watch a movie that none of us had seen before and just pick a random old movie and put it on, and we kind of just got exposed to a lot of ones through that too.
How many, an estimate on how many VHSs you guys have in the collection?
Oh, um, probably I want to say maybe like 70, 80, maybe. There's quite a few.
Are you looking on like eBay and stuff, or do you just find thrifting?
Most of them are thrifting. There was this market in Calgary that they kind of got rid of some of the VHS places, but they had a bunch of VHSs in one. So would always check that out and see if we could find the ones that we wanted. But I remember spending like a year trying to find Train Spotting on VHS and finally found it. So that was one of the best ones that I found. But yeah, they mostly just thrifted. I think only maybe 5 have been bought online.
So that's also an affordable collection, I assume. Although, if you're looking for a specific one and you have to go outside thrifting for it, it's gonna be expensive. Like everything, we do have some of these video game stores that you were talking about, but they're, I mean, resellers have essentially ruined everything. Like it's so expensive to get your hands on anything old with any nostalgia.
Totally. Yeah, I think for our VHS collection, we've had to really play the waiting game and have a movie that we want to get and then just keep looking for it. But we try not to do the expensive ones. We try to stay away and find a really good price on them. I think the most expensive one that my partner bought was the Gummo, which was a hard find. But other than that, a lot of them are under $5.
That's incredible. We have a really, really amazing like independent theater here that it just does the best programming, and they just showed Gummo on 35 millimeter last Friday, I think it was, and we all went. It was I had seen him before, but it was amazing seeing a packed theater, seeing that movie for the first time. Like guaranteed there was people in the audience that maybe knew it was slightly weird, but they probably didn't know the full extent, and they probably got quite an experience.
Yeah, that movie is pretty crazy. It's such a good movie, but yeah, it's kind of a wild one to watch, but that would be such an awesome one to see in the theater. I know it's played here a couple times, but I've always missed it. But that would be a great one to just take someone in totally blind and see for the first time in the theater.
Yeah, I was keeping an eye on the crowd. Just I was curious if anyone walked out, and I don't think anyone left.
That's good because there's a couple scenes. Yeah, there's a couple scenes that can be pretty gnarly.
I think after this theater shows all these re-releases, I always love to go on Letterboxd because pretty much anything reviewed like that night, especially on these obscure older movies, it's probably someone who just saw it in theater. So I like to see people's reactions, and no one walked out, but there was definitely some reviews like that was insane, and like that I was there on a first date, like that was a mistake.
Yeah, that would be a crazy first date to go to. You'd be like, "Oh, what is going on here?" But yeah, it's always interesting to see what people think about. I mean, especially like Harmony Korine's movies, I think are pretty they're either loved or they're hated kind of thing. So it's always interesting to see what side people land on. I know when Spring Breakers came out, it was like, most people were like, that was the worst movie ever. And then other people that were kind of fans of his were like, that was awesome. So it's interesting to see where people land.
Yeah, I remember actually going to see it with some friends, and I loved it, and the people I were with hated it. Like they just thought it was like an hour and a half long music video.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think a lot of people going to see it for like Selena Gomez and Vanessa Hudgens, and were not expecting to get what they got. But I think that movie's so awesome. It's such a great one.
Do you guys have kids on VHS?
We don't. We don't have kids on VHS. I think a friend of ours might, but the only one we've been able to find is Gummo.
If you guys got train spotting, like that was one you wanted and you got it, what's the next most coveted on the list?
Um, oh, I don't know actually. I think another one that I was really happy to get was Brazil. Um, and that one is just so, I feel like that's meant to be watched on a VHS. Like it just looks amazing on a VHS. So that one I was always really excited that we got it. Um, and I mean, easier to find, but always a classic. Blade Runner on VHS is like the perfect viewing experience.
What Actually, speaking of perfect viewing experiences, what kind of TV setup do you have for a VHS player?
Yeah, so have like an old box TV and a VHS player set up in our bedroom, and then we have our regular setup downstairs. But yeah, we got the old box TV ready to go.
Yeah, there's TV that everyone like discredited them until you want to watch VHS, and it's the only way to do it.
It really is. Like there's something really calming almost about watching the old VHSs on the box TVs and you get that little crackle on the screen. And little like specks every once in a while. I think they can really make or break a movie sometimes, to be honest, with the just how they were made for VHS and in that era with the cameras that they were made with. So I think it's it's really awesome that we can still watch it like that. I'm really happy that we have it.
Yeah, I don't want to be rude to any of my friends, but I've been invited over to someone's house who just got like a VHS setup, and like they've been trying to get one for a while. It's great that they like did that, but then they have it on like a brand new like 60-inch LED, and it's like this doesn't look right. Like I mean, it looks too good actually. It's like supposed to look kind of old and retro to get the entire like vibe.
Yeah, it almost ruins the effect of it when you see it on like a brand new TV. It looks kind of weird. Because it wasn't made for those TVs, you know? It was made for the TVs at the time. So I feel like you gotta go with the old TVs or no one.
Yeah, we have some decent thrift spots that like the VHS thing is getting people here have like caught on to it, so now things are a bit picked over. But I'm wondering if we would have things that you guys wouldn't find there. I don't know. Every time my girlfriend and I will go and we think, okay, we're gonna spend the afternoon, like we're gonna look at every single VHS here. Then we go through, spend 20 minutes and then we're kind of over it. We haven't like found anything good. It's mainly just like Jerry Maguire.
Yeah, I think we got into it at the right time. It was probably, I want to say like 5 years ago. So we kind of got into it when there was still some good pickings out there, but it has gotten pretty picked over in the more recent years. But it's funny, I feel like you go even to different neighborhoods in the city and different neighborhoods will have like, different selections of VHSs and certain things that other neighborhoods don't have as much, which is always kind of interesting to see. It's fun to be like, "Oh, this is the sector where we have, like a million copies of the Titanic." And then you go to another one, there's none and it's all the James Bond movies or something, you know?
Yeah, we a lot of Titanic, and almost all of our value villages would probably be like Jerry Maguire, Titanic, DVD seasons of The Office. That's like the majority of what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of similar here, but every once in a while there's a gem. There's a gem in there and you find it.
I remember a couple years ago, I think DVDs. I think it was like five DVDs for $2. It was like they were honestly pretty much free. And last time we went, I think they were like 10 or 15 each. Like it's just getting way too expensive to collect these, and then you factor in they were all donated for free.
Exactly. I know they used to be so cheap. I feel like I never paid more than $2 for like a VHS or a DVD and yeah, now people are catching on and realizing that people actually want DVDs still and still want VHSs, so they're hiking up the price, which sucks, but yeah, I mean, sometimes you got to go through those like, the toonie bins at like Walmart and find the old videos and stuff like that. And those are still good.
Yeah, I love those things. Like we have Sarah and I have so many horrible DVDs. Like you buy the like 2 pack or the 5 pack. So one of the movies is good and the other ones are like just atrocious, but they're awesome to own.
Yeah, yeah, it's always fun to just pop it on and see what it's all about and see what you're getting into.
So I should ask you more about art, I guess. Even though I'm extremely interested in all the collecting and stuff. Well, I asked you before you were making art before art school, but also sort of along the same lines, what made you want to be an artist? Like, do you remember a time when you were like, I'm gonna draw or I'm gonna like make what I want to make? Like, how old were you and why?
I think the big realization point was I was probably 16. So I was still in high school and I had started getting really interested in portraiture. Um, and that was kind of what I really practiced and really honed in on. So I started noticing, getting pretty good at it. And I just kept going with it. And I kind of thought for the first time that was something that I was super interested in and I felt pretty motivated by. I feel like in school I wasn't super motivated by, like math or science or English or anything like that. So I just kind of felt that motivation creep up and I just kind of realized one day and I turned to my parents and I was like, I think this is something that I need to do. And they were like, okay, let's go for it. So that's kind of the turning point for it. I think when I ended up going into art school, there was a pretty big learning curve just conceptually. So that was also something that was pretty helpful just to round off the content of the work that I was making or the ideas behind it.
When I look at some of the pieces you've made, I would think that it's not I'm trying to think of how to say this. Like maybe not the typical art they would push in art school. Like it might have been a bit different than what they were trying to teach. Right? So was that an obstacle at all? Or did you want to work on things that weren't necessarily like fitting for assignments?
Yeah, I think that that was something that I dealt with quite a bit in the first couple of years of university. I think I was, really interested in the more technical aspect of making and I really wanted to, keep doing that, but there was a point in the last couple of years of school that I started getting into quite different things actually. Which I don't really make stuff like that anymore, but I started getting into kind of like photo transfer work and I started making a lot of work with plastic, which does fit, I guess, to what I'm making now, but just in a different kind of way. But I ended up making a lot of almost like sculptural pieces when I was in my later years at ACAD. And another one that I was pretty passionate about near the end was tapestry weaving, actually. So that was a place that I could really put in a lot of technical skill and still get something pretty like fun and awesome out of it. So I did quite a few of those as well, which I think catered a little bit more to what I was interested in while I was there.
I do. I loved going back through your profile. It's kind of like a pretty cohesive, like kind of rewind. Like you can see the stuff you make going through different iterations. Like you can, I guess, going backwards through it, it's like you see the regression, which I guess is a negative word. But I mean, like, I like seeing that you are trying new things and like you'll go. like it's just a through line through all of it. You can see it like started here, turned into this thing, then the inspiration led to this. So have you, does it look that way just to me, or have you worked that way all along? Like you're kind of taking one thing, applying it to something new, and just sort of tweaking it all the time?
Yeah, I think I mean I don't think all of it I necessarily knew what I was doing at the time. But I do think that just by working in different materials and just different ways and a little bit more simple or a little bit more congested, I think has obviously helped me to get where I am now. I don't know if I'd be where I was now if I didn't try those other things and kind of, yeah, exactly what you said, like apply them to what I'm doing going forward. So I don't think it was like I would never say that I knew exactly what I was doing, but I think it kind of just naturally led through that progression and it made me think about things on the side as well that I probably wouldn't have thought about too much if I was just doing drawing the whole time. So I think a lot of that did really help me look at things in different ways and really understand even just, how things move, how things reflect or go together. So I think, yeah, everything kind of came together eventually.
How do you feel about explaining or like articulating your art? Because I know a ton of amazing artists and they've been lucky or unlucky enough, I guess, not to go through like the schooling route. But in art school, I'm sure you have to make your stuff, then you also have to explain why you made it, like peer review and stuff. So, do you like like justifying and explaining why something looks that way, or is that not really your thing?
I think I used to hate it for a while. I never wanted to explain myself. I just wanted to make something and look at it. I think the schooling really forced me, kind of like you were saying, to think about it and slow down and be like, okay, why am I doing this? Where is it coming from? So I think it helped me be able to articulate. I think it, you know, when I display something or if I'm showing someone, I'm not really gonna go out of my way to explain it unless someone's interested, because I don't always think it's the most important part of an art piece. But I mean, now I feel like I've gotten better at talking about it and kind of knowing where I'm coming from and where the influence comes from. So it's gotten easier, but I wouldn't say it's like a necessary step for me to do all the time. I don't think I think I would rather it speak for itself for the most part, unless somebody was really, quite intrigued by it.
Yeah, there's always, I mean, there's rights and wrongs, I guess, all that, but I like the idea of like people, like you make, not you, but anyone makes art, and then it's up to like the viewer to kind of decide and dissect and like give meaning and attribute to certain things. I like that approach better. I know it doesn't always apply, and maybe not. It's definitely nice to be able to explain why something is the way it is, but I've always liked an artist making what they want to make, and then the viewer decides how they want to feel about it based on like the meaning they give it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a big believer in that too, and I think, if you are making something that you're really passionate about, it's gonna come across in one way or another. But even if I go to a museum or a show that's happening, like I don't want to read about it. I don't want to, sit down and read the little synopsis. I want to go and I just want to look at it. I want to take it in. So, I mean, some might say that's a downfall of mine, but I do love to just allow it to be a visual thing at least at first, and then, maybe some context is interesting for me, but I don't think that the context should be the main part of the work, I guess, at all times. Some work for sure, but I think a lot of the times I like to, be able to get it from what I'm looking at.
Yeah, I constantly get scolded when I'm with people at the art gallery. I always sometimes I don't read that stuff at all, and sometimes I'll look at the room and then I'll read it after just to like see, like the intent behind it, and what they kind of want you to feel about it. I like to see if the way I felt aligned with that at all, but I'm the exact same way. I avoid them just so I can make up my own mind and like feel the way I want to feel about what I'm looking at.
Yeah, totally. I think it's just the way for me to do it. Everybody's different, but it's always kind of fun. I do it that way, and then usually someone that I'm with will be the reader and to come back and say, "Oh, did you know about this in the work?" And I'll be like, "No, I didn't. That's really interesting though. Like I didn't realize that first," or, "Oh, I could see where that comes from." So that's always a fun part of it. I don't know, for me, is to find that out maybe after and be like, "Oh yeah, that is what I saw in that," or, "Oh, that isn't what I saw, but now I can see that." So I mean, it's always interesting, but yeah, I'm a pretty visual person, so I like to look. I don't always want to read.
Yeah, no, that's exactly Sarah will go, and she's the one telling me the facts after I've kind of formed my own decision, which is a great. Like, I think me, at least personally, needs that kind of like juxtapositioning.
Yeah, you get the best of both worlds. You get the information that you need eventually, but you get to do it your own way still, which is, yeah, I like doing it that way too.
Yeah. Um, do you remember, I'm sure you do, what was the first piece of like commissioned art that you were paid for? Like when did you become a paid artist?
Um, I think the first one that I was paid for was, I'm pretty sure it's on my Instagram actually, but it was just a graphite drawing, so there's no pencil crayon. And it was a drawing of a little elephant mascot in like a baseball suit. And yeah, that was the first one that I really was like sought after to do specifically. And then the kind of bigger opportunity that I got was from Nine Times Calgary, from Kevin Lowry. So I did a few graphics for their like in-house decks, and that was kind of like my big one at the beginning. That was my the first three. That was the biggest kind of one I had done so far. And then yeah, I just kind of kept going from there.
Yeah, I love those boards. That's I didn't know if that would be the first, but I thought you might mention them, so I'm glad you did.
Yeah, yeah, they were a pretty fun project for me. I was really, really excited to do those ones. So I was super glad that I got the opportunity to do it. And Kevin kind of gave me free rein on what I wanted to do, which was really awesome. So I was pretty happy that's how they turned out. And then we ended up doing another one. And yeah, they've just been really fun. I think it's kind of surreal to see my work on like a physical object that's not just a piece of paper or a canvas. So that part is really fun. And sometimes I'll be around Calgary and I'll see people skating in the deck with like I don't know them, but they're just out, and that's always pretty fun. It's pretty awesome to see. So yeah, it was a really fun experience.
How I know a lot of artists are kind of their biggest critic, I guess. How perfectionist are you, or how many times do you go over a drawing? Like let's say the 9 ounce boards. For instance, do you like make a ton of iterations until you're like perfectly happy, or do you trust yourself as an artist and kind of just like go with maybe not the first drawing, but closer to the beginning than like redoing it a million times.
Yeah, I kind of I feel like I have a pretty similar process these days where I'll have an idea, or if it's a commission, I'll be given a couple of ideas maybe, and I'll do a sketch and kind of decide, okay, this is the one that we're gonna go with. And then from there, I do my kind of official sketch on, because I do pretty much mostly on paper. So I do my initial sketch and get it really to a place that I want. And once I start going in with the color, that's it. And I just have to be kind of on it, and I have to just follow through with it. So once I start on the color on the piece, it's go time, and I can't really turn back and go over it. So I do have to kind of have faith in myself, but at the same time, I am a pretty slow worker. Um, I'm sure a lot of people would agree with that. And so I do take my time quite a bit to make sure that I'm getting all the little details that I want, because I am pretty particular about those. So that's kind of where the perfectionist comes in, is that I really have to take my time and make sure that I'm getting it the way I want it to. But yeah, once I start, it's kind of a one shot go time.
That's a dangerous mix, like perfectionist with kind of a one shot. Like when it's going and it's gone type thing, and that's two hard things to find harmony together.
It is, yeah. It's definitely been like years of practice at this point, because I don't think I could have done it the exact way that I could do it now, but I think a lot of it was just how I learned how to draw too, and I was always so particular, and no, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. It has to be like this, and I'm not showing it unless, I'm not showing anyone unless it's exactly how I want it to look. So I think I was practicing that mindset for the better, for the worse, for a long time. And I kind of mentioned before, my dad is very much in that mindset as well. He's quite the perfectionist. And so I think growing up alongside him and seeing him kind of do his creative endeavors, it was a big influence on me. And I was like, okay, if you're gonna do it, you're gonna do it right. And that's the only way you're gonna do it.
That's I mean, I'm kind of like that as well, and sometimes I annoy myself, but a lot of times I'm happy to have that type of stuff instilled in me, like when it comes to art and stuff. So my guess would be you're quite happy with it, but it gets in the way time to time.
Yeah, I think overall it's good for me to have. It's a good quality. I think it can be quite frustrating, and I'm sure it's stopped me from doing quite a few things in the past, just because I'm like, no, like I know I can't do it right now, so I'm not gonna do it. But I think, eventually I'll come back and I'll be like, okay, I'm ready now. Let's go. So I do think it's a good thing for me to have. I'm really glad that that's how I work. Because I mean, not only is it helped me do it, but it's really fun for me. I think being tedious and being really particular is something that I really enjoy. So I always have fun when I do it. So I'm not complaining, and I'm okay with being a little bit anal about it.
Yeah, that's funny. I would say the exact same thing. I kind of have fun doing like being a perfectionist and getting really granular with everything too. I think a lot of people maybe don't even understand how that would be fun, but I fully agree that it is. I'm curious about commissions actually. Like do you like being I don't know. That's a weird wording, but do you enjoy being like guided or like told how to make art? Like if someone's paying you, are you okay with them having the direction in it, or do you get kind of like too emotional about things and want to do it your way?
Um, I usually I love it. I think having someone else's like creative ideas is kind of an inspiration for me, and it's always fun to try and take something that someone's visualizing or thinking of and turn it into reality. Um I have been pretty fortunate where a lot of the commissions, the people are pretty trusting in what I'm doing. So they'll kind of give me the initial idea, I'll give them the initial sketch, and then, just go for it. And it's been pretty fortunate that they're excited about working that way. So I think so far, like it's been great to incorporate other people's ideas and do stuff like that. I haven't shared it yet, but I did just finish last month a commission for a band in Toronto, and they came to me with the idea for it, and it was kind of a pretty particular idea, like it was very specific. Um, and it was one of the most fun drawings that I ever did. I thought I had like such a blast doing it. It was awesome.
Probably, as I'm listening to you thinking it definitely it would be so much harder to do commission work if you hated being told what to do. So I guess I mean, you're lucky in the fact that you enjoy it because it would probably be way less of an experience if you kind of hated the whole like structure of it all.
Totally, yeah. I think you have to be open to making it work to want to keep doing it like that. But yeah, I think it's half the fun is, you know, bringing someone else's idea to life. I think it's something that you would never think of obviously on your own. Like I'm not gonna come up with that idea on my own. So it's fun to kind of, just build that for them or with them and go from there. So yeah, it's a great thing that I enjoy doing that. It's even when I'm kind of, going out for a coffee with people or, hanging out in the park, I'll usually bring a sketchbook with me and I'll sit there and I'll be like, what do I draw? And then I'll just turn to someone, what should I draw? Tell me what to draw right now. So that's always kind of been just like a fun thing I like getting prompts even if I'm just goofing around too. So it's always been pretty fun for me.
That's such a good way to look at it. Like you wouldn't have thought of this idea on your own, and now you're kind of lucky enough to have a hand in creating it. I've never heard someone like put it exactly that way, but that's a very like kind and positive way to look at it all.
Yeah, I think yeah, it's I think you gotta have fun with it, and that's something that I really believe in when I'm doing art and just being creative. Like it's just, have fun with it and that's when you get your best work. So yeah, it's always fun. I've done a couple of they're not quite the exquisite corpse where you like fold the paper and draw with someone else, but I've done a couple of like longer drawings with some people that they kind of put down the idea in a sketch and then I go in and kind of rework it. And those have always been really fun too. So yeah, it's always been a kind of an like a fun thing to do. Yeah.
I know I interrupted your cleaning on a Sunday, and I would love to let you get back to your day, but I want to know what do you do besides all the stuff you just talked about? I feel this is like such a interesting talk, and you're into so many like unique things that probably no one who's been on here yet has talked about. So outside of all this collecting and movies, is there anything else you do when you just want to relax or like find inspiration for new works?
Yeah, I mean, I one thing that I'm super into, and it's a bit disjointed from, what my work or my aesthetic comes out as, but I've always been very into kind of like, well, my favorite show is Jersey Shore. That's my favorite show of all time, but I'm always into that kind of like, I guess, swag era, the Y2K, a lot of stuff that came out of like the Harajuku district in Japan in like the 90s and 2000s. So that's always something that really influences me behind the scenes. And I feel like I spend a lot of time just like watching Jersey Shore all the time, or, like finding old books or old photos that are kind of from that time. So that's another big interest of mine that I'm always pretty passionate about, but I don't always get to show it off, I guess. It's kind of my hidden interest.
That's incredible. That I would have never expected that answer. That's better than anything I would have hoped for.
Yeah, it's I think it can come as a surprise to some people that don't know me quite as well, but yeah, I love that stuff. I adore it, and I think Jersey Shore is the best show of all time. So it's that's a big influence on me, whether people will think that's a good thing or not.
Is it only that era, or do you watch any of the like kind of current reality stuff?
I watch some of the current reality, but it's not as good. It's just it doesn't hit the same for me. I think the 2000s era of reality TV was such a kind of raunchy and like uncensored era. And there's just some things that, you can't get back. You can't get that moment in time back. So those are the ones that always hit the hardest for me.
What do you think of the simple life?
Love it. It's awesome. I think it's amazing. I love Grace Hilton. I think she's so awesome. I think she was like such a huge influence on pop culture, and watching that show, I think it's hilarious, and I think it was such a smart idea for a show. I love watching it.
Yeah, no, I love that one, and I actually love like when I was on, I would always watch it, and no one under like friends, family, girlfriends, like no one understood. Like it was a bit of a different time, and it was I don't know why it wasn't cool for a guy in high school to watch that, but I loved it, and I still love it, and I stand firmly on the choice to watch it then and now.
Yeah, I think that's something you should be proud of for sure. Yeah, it was good back then, and it's even better now. I think like without that version of reality TV, like we wouldn't have anything now. So I love watching that stuff.
Yeah, of course. I mean I went into this being a huge fan of yours, but I think this is one of the most interesting talks that I've had on here, and now I'm even more like I'm a super fan of you based on all of this. It's so interesting.
That's awesome. Yeah, I this was like a super super fun chat. The first kind of time that I've really gotten to talk about this stuff. So thank you for having me. But yeah, it's been awesome to just chat and share some things. So thanks for taking interest.
Yeah, thank you very much for answering all the random out of order questions. But I mean, beyond that, unless you have anything pertinent you want to talk about, I think that's a more than good episode.
Yeah, I think that was awesome. Thank you so much for having me and chatting, and it was yeah, super fun to do.
You know, before I forget, do you want to take a moment, let anyone listening know where they can find you or your work or anything you want to promote right now? The mic is yours. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I my Instagram is James Lynn with two S's. I mostly do commissions through there, so if people are interested, they can message me through there. And yeah, just hit me up. I love to hear, even if Even if it's something small or random, like I'd love to do it. So that's all. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much. Enjoy the housework if that is something you can enjoy. Hopefully the weather keeps up nice for you.
Totally. Yeah, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy your Sunday.
I will. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.